Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of our Lion Fight Zoom chats. I am joined, of course, by Nathan Corbett, and this is our final episode before Lion Fight 65 coming up on April 9th on UFC Fight Pass. And Nathan, this is always the episode that we kind of look at the fights from your perspective, not your picks, because we know you have to stay impartial as you'll be doing the color commentary, of course, alongside Sean Wheelock. But from your perspective, we want to look at the fights, and we're going to look at the co-main events for Lion Fight 65. Let's start with the women's lightweight title fight, and it's Taylor McClatchy from Canada. She has an 18-1 record, and she's going to be fighting Angela Whitley, who's from San Juan, Puerto Rico. She's 11-2, and of course, well known for going 5 rounds against Jarena Bars for the welterweight title a couple of years back. Nathan, your perspective on that inaugural North American women's lightweight title fight.
Yeah, so the last week, I've been doing a lot of research, finding out a lot more about all the fighters, just, doing my diligence just to, see their style. So when I meet them, obviously I get to know them a little bit more. Then come fight night, sometimes I feel like I already know them. So what I've really noticed about McClatchy, and of course this is no negative talk, of course, but in the difference between McClatchy and Whitley is she's much a technical fighter, very technical and not so aggressive. She likes to use her distance. She likes to use her techniques. I've recently been seeing her training on the pads and she's super aggressive. But if I research back and look at the fights show me not so much aggression, more technical, more trying to, win the fight through scoring points. But on the other hand, I've got Whitley, like she is just like gung-ho aggressive. Like as soon as the bell rings, she's just like straight on them. Attacking and super powerful and aggressive. So I think this fight, is going to be an interesting matchup. Whether McClatchy, I've seen her take some shots, especially when she fought a few fights in Korea as well, and was taking a lot of punishment and just kept moving forward. So she's obviously got a lot of will to go forward. Will she be able to stop the onslaught from Whitley early and then come back and win with the scoring points, or Whitley overwhelm her with power and attacks? The thing I did see that was a little bit not a good thing for Whitley when she's coming forward is she leads with her head a lot. She's leading with her head as she comes forward, and as we saw her with the Jarena Bar, she got cut by leading in with her head all the time. But of course, she did get cut, but she kept going the whole 5 rounds. So she's a completely durable, tough female fighter. So this fight is going to be a great fight. I feel like it's going to be, to wrap it up, I feel like it's going to be the technician, and not to say that Whitley's not technical because she's got great techniques, but the technician versus the brawler, where she's going to be more, I've got to be tactical, I've got to be clean, I've got to be precise, where, Whitley's going to come in and just sort of like overpower, dominate, and just be that wrecking force. So that's how I feel, and I can see the fight happening. Again, I've been wrong before, but I'm looking forward to seeing that action, of course, next week.
And interestingly enough, I think both girls have undergone some changes. You mentioned McClatchy working on her aggression. I think that has come to the forefront a little bit more with her training. And since the Bars fight, Whitley has a complete coaching change. So, maybe we'll see some adjustments, particularly, like you said, with her leading with her head. Perhaps her new coach has also spotted that and fine-tuned that approach as well.
Well, that's right, Scott. McClatchy has such a lot of experience. She's got over 50 fights. It's a lot of experience, a lot of time in the ring. And like we mentioned, she's been super aggressive in her post. She's been super aggressive in her attacks. Will that still happen when the bell rings? Will that be able to actually be real, or will it just be training and then not to the ring? I hope for McClatchy that she can bring that power and aggression into the fight. And of course, as you mentioned, Whitley's, probably adjusting her techniques. And as we grow as martial arts and as professional fighters, we learn that certain things. But the thing that I can say is that about fighting is that there's certain things that you can't change about a fighter. It doesn't matter who you train them with. There's certain things. So I know for a fact that Whitley might back up a little bit and be a little bit more not leading with her head, but if she gets a good punch in the face, she's probably going to rush in and come forward and be aggressive, because it's just in certain people to do a certain thing. McClatchy might be like, get hit and then try and maybe back up and win on the outside, or maybe I'll be wrong on both parts, and they'll completely turn it around and show difference. So either way, I think it's a great matchup, and styles make fights. I feel like this one, and they're both tall, so it's kind of a good matchup.
Yeah, for sure. We'll move over to the other co-main event for the evening. It was already set to be an excellent fight with two 4-0 super welterweights, Jake Peacock and Caleb Hunter. Now, in the last few days, it's been upgraded to a Lion Fight North American super welterweight title, which I'm speaking with both guys. They're just, super excited about having a title belt on the line, and it just adds a lot of incentive to that belt. You have seen Jake Peacock since his arrival in Lion Fight, and you know Caleb Hunter quite well. So you will definitely have some insight on both of those guys. Let's start with Caleb, and then we'll go to Jake.
Yeah, that's right. I do know both fighters. Of course, I'll talk about Hunter first, but of course Peacock, I've called his last 3 fights, been there ringside, so I know a lot about him. But Hunter, I've spent time with training and doing seminars at his gym, and 8 points there. See, Hunter, the thing about Hunter, he's where I feel like he's going to be dangerous for Peacock is his range. He's super tall. He likes to fight with his long range, but he also loves to close the distance, be on top of someone and use the down elbows, and he's very good at clinching. Peacock so far hasn't really had to use his clinching skills. I've spoke to him about clinching with having the one arm, like, how do you go about clinching? And he has a technique where he wraps it around and locks onto people's arms with the shorter part of his arm. So he's obviously got that covered. But my concern for him in this fight is, will that be enough to overpower Hunter from that clinch position? Long range, he has the range advantage, Hunter, but long range, it doesn't sort of concern me with Peacock, because Peacock's, key to victory is the way that he can change stances, he can change ranges, he changes levels, he's up, down, he's everywhere. He can hit you from any angle, from any side of his body. So and he's very like a high work rate fighter. Hunter is not necessarily a high work rate fighter, but he'll kind of, he'll march in and he'll walk in and try and overwhelm someone by like closing the distance and just sort of getting on top of them. They are very, very good clinch school. So he's going to be well prepped and well trained for that. I know for a fact that both fighters will be fit to go 5 rounds. So that's a very good matchup. And I feel like being a title fight, it's going to put that extra heat on it, because I know for a fact that Peacock has been chasing this belt for a long time, and with 4 fights, 4 knockouts to his name right now, I think that he deserves the opportunity to go for this belt. Of course, Caleb has got a great background as well, with many world amateur titles and so forth. So it's a perfect title fight for both young men, and I think it's going to be one of those fights that will be interesting enough. Peacock, like I said, always brings heat. You never know what's going to happen. He's knocked out the last 3 opponents in front of us, and these opponents were supposed to potentially beat him. He's knocked them all out. Will he do the same against Caleb, or can Caleb, overwhelm him with that range and that height and that clinching ability? It's a good test anyway.
What I like about Peacock too, when you talk about the three knockouts that he's had in Lion Fight, all 3 different. Body shot against Walton, head kick against Garcia, jump knee against Ryan Houston. So his array of weaponry is pretty unique and pretty special. But yet we've never really seen him damaged or really even under any pressure. I mean,
No.
Walton went 3 rounds with him, but I think that's going to be an interesting thing for us to see at ringside is, how does he react if Caleb Hunter can start to inflict some damage?
And the other thing too, Scott, is, and I think this is a slight weight up from his normal weight.
For both guys.
Yes, for both guys, where Hunter, is a tall, kind of big guy that probably carries the weight well. I remember last time we had him on, and he couldn't just quite cut the weight off, because it was he was like 1 week's notice. He had a lot of weight to cut. But he would have done the job for this one. But it is an advantage as far as height and the weight going up. And saying that, Peacock, said he really enjoyed putting on weight over COVID, and now he's hitting harder than he's hit before.
Yeah.
So, you have that. He's slightly shorter, but he's explosive. He's powerful. He can knock you out with every shot, as you mentioned. He kicks, body shot, knees. He's got it all. So yeah, just all in all, a great matchup and a well-deserved title matchup. So whoever wins this fight deserves to have that strap around their belt, their waist.
And we're gonna have, it's a 5-fight card. It's really loaded with, I think, some exciting fights. I mean, we've recently talked to Sharir Zulfagari, and he looks like he's coming with a lot of energy. And I know you like to say the word heat, and I think he's going to bring a lot of heat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, Scott. And as I was mentioning on the last Zoom chat with him, is that the cruiserweight division is one of those divisions that they're hitting like heavyweights but moving like middleweight. So it's fast, but when they hit, it's very powerful. So it's always an exciting weight division. It was one of my favorite weight divisions throughout my career, and I love to watch fighters at that weight fight. So that'll be a great matchup, especially opening the show as well.
And I know a lot of people have been talking to me, reaching out to me, mentioning how excited they are to see Ian Greer in his lion fight debut. We talked to Ian a couple of weeks back, and we've heard a lot of big things about this guy. Everything pushing towards him being sort of this next big American Muay Thai star. But he's going to have his hands full. He's got Jefferson Silva, who's coming up from Brazil, has been living in Texas and training with Washington Dos Santos. So, he's getting in a good preparation too. That's going to be a good fight.
Well, great preparation. I just saw him, on the Instagram there, smashing with Washington, smashing the Dutch kickboxing drills together. A lot of power, a lot of explosive power. And of course, Greer, he was like, living in Thailand, got that Thai experience. It's not a kickboxing fight, it's a Muay Thai fight after all. Says he loves using the elbows. Of course, that excites me. And he wants to use those. So, it's an explosive fight. I mean, that's just such an explosive fight. It's stacking up to be just such a powerful, explosive card, and that's what we love.
Well, I hope everyone else will love it too. On April the 9th on UFC Fight Pass, Lion Fight 65. Nathan, thank you for your insight as always. We will see you in Kansas very soon, and we will see everybody on the 9th on UFC Fight Pass. We'll talk to y'all again soon.